Welcome to part 2 of our course and syllabus review. In this video, questions will appear periodically so you can engage with the content as you watch and not just passively take it in. In the first assignment of the semester, I will ask you to introduce yourself, and so I'll start off our introductions here. Again, I'm Belkis, your instructor for this course. A little bit about my background. I'm from Miami, Florida. In the heart pictures here are my husband and our 3 dogs, who will sometimes make guest appearances in my little couch background here. I did my undergraduate degree at Florida State University, and I had full intentions to become a high school English teacher. And out of random whim, I applied for a teaching fellowship in Washington, D.C., and I received it. And they trained me and placed me in special education classrooms. I started teaching in a 3rd grade classroom because of this fellowship, and I quickly learned that elementary school was not for me. I just don't have the level of energy that young students deserve from their teachers, which means that I had to find a different placement, and I found the right one. I became a resource teacher for 11th and 12th grade students with mild to moderate disabilities, meaning that they were all general education, traditional curriculum track. And I was like, this is the right place for me. While in that position, I completed my master's program at American University. Sometime later, I went on to become a special education coordinator at a school for students with the most significant needs. And here I was working in an area of special education called transition. And transition is about supporting students as they go from school life to the rest of their lives, adult life, community life, college life, wherever it is that they're going to go. It's about helping them transition into that next step in life. I love that job. It was amazing and fun, such a great experience. And it was very hard to decide to leave, but I wanted to go back to school to finish my degrees, or to continue getting degrees, I suppose. And that's how I ended up in Oklahoma for 4 years. In my position with the University of Oklahoma, I was able to travel all over that state and the country. And I gave professional development trainings to teachers across the entire country. And because of those combined experiences and jumping around a little bit, I have had a unique opportunity to see what special education looks like in different parts of the country, and it's different. So with all of that, in 2021, I learned about this super cool school, University of the Pacific, and I made my way over to California. And in this position, I have been able to work with so many more teachers and do more research and outreach for teacher education and many other kind of related areas. So that's big picture me, and I'm looking forward to learning about you. So we'll talk about the actual class now. In this course, we will dive into what it really means to teach and support students with disabilities in inclusive classrooms. The purpose of this class is twofold. First, it's about building a strong foundation in the laws, policies, and histories that shape special education. Knowing the why behind what we have to do is critical as educators. Second, it's about giving you practical strategies that you can take straight into your teaching. Hopefully, if the goal is that you leave the course in 15 weeks with far more than you came in with. Throughout the course, we'll have opportunities to explore how to adapt and create supports for students with different learning needs. And we'll do this through discussions, videos, activities. And we'll even include some kind of fieldwork opportunities to connect theory to practice. So my hope is that by the end of the class, you not only feel more confident in your teaching, but also more reflective about your philosophy as an educator and your role in making schools and classroom equitable spaces for every single one of your students. I'm going to switch to the syllabus in just a minute and talk through some of these must-know areas, but please remember that you are responsible for viewing the syllabus in its entirety. Now, at the top of the syllabus is my contact information. And if we scroll down a bit, a reminder that this is an asynchronous class, meaning that we do not have mandatory meeting times. However, because this class also discusses a lot of topics and there are a couple different assignments to consider, I will have 3 optional check-ins throughout the semester. And before I go ahead and schedule those and tell you the dates and times, I would like to know from you what day of the week, Monday through Friday, works best for a 6 p.m. meeting. Once we have that information, I will post it and update our syllabus with the Zoom link and meeting date and time. Here you can navigate to different parts of the syllabus, but I'm going to scroll us through so we can catch any areas we need to. So coming to main course information, first thing to know, there are no required texts from this class. We use as many free and available resources as there are because there are so many. We will also be linking to different online materials which you can access here. Scrolling down some more, you can see the course description and our objectives, which I kind of went over a little bit. and the California Teaching Performance Expectations, or TPEs, that are covered in this class. Scrolling to class policies section, there is no attendance recorded for this class, so not something you have to worry about. The class is fully designed to be delivered through Canvas and any kind of adjoining Canvas app, so like Edpuzzle. And because this is a graduate level 15-week course, there is a significant amount of work that needs to be included in the course to meet all of our requirements for accreditation. So something to note, it is a graduate level course with graduate level amount of work due. Now, when it comes to our assignments, I have suggested due dates on our Canvas, and that's typically a Wednesday and a Sunday, but those dates are there more to help you keep organized or stay organized and keep up with the course pace. With that said, if you fall a little bit behind, you got a week off, and that's fine. It's okay. You do not need to email me and ask for permission to turn something in. You are allowed to turn in work late. I am not nearly as tough a grader as maybe my syllabus might suggest. But I have these policies for if absolutely needed. But I am not someone that you need to kind of share all the reasons for. I believe you if you needed an extra week or whatever the situation is. There is a final due date for this class, and I will not accept anything past that final date, and we'll go over that. But other than that, you are supposed to be navigating yourself. I will try my best to kind of give you hints and reminders that things should be turned in, especially if you're trying to get very good feedback back from me. If you're turning something in very late, the amount of feedback you'd get is probably going to be minimal, which is not fun for either of us. I want to be able to really talk to you through your assignments, and hopefully the same. So some things to keep in mind. Okay, so for assignments, you can do over any assignment. Let's say that for whatever reason you don't get full points, or one little thing was kind of keeping you from getting the score that you wanted to get. You are welcome to redo any assignment in our course to get to the grade you wanted to. So that's perfectly fine with me. Now, artificial intelligence use or AI use has been seen a lot more maybe in the past year within higher education, and my experience as well. And so while I recognize the wide availability and access that we have to it, and we always want to make use of tools that are supportive and effective and maybe will make jobs our jobs easier, I'm very in support of some of those purposes, but there's also a lot of other things to consider when it comes to AI and AI use. So for every single assignment in this class, there will be a disclosure at the bottom that says what level of AI is acceptable for that specific assignment. Because this class relies on a lot of reflection, like personal reflection, there is not a ton of AI usage allowed, but there is some, and very specific ways how to use it are listed within each assignment. And so I really want to make sure you understand that, because that is going to be included in the rubric of every assignment that we have as well, to ensure that we're all on the same page as what it means to use AI for this course. Okay, scrolling down a little bit more, we're going to look at guidelines for fieldwork. Now, this class does not technically record a specific number of hours that you're supposed to be out in the classroom gaining experience, but this class does also require you to work with individuals to some extent and try to gain experience. There are kind of options that we can consider. If you're not in a school setting right now, we can definitely talk about some different options. With that, if you are in a school setting, is the reminder that you are a representative of Bennard College and University of the Pacific. And so there are basic professional etiquette to keep in mind, and you can read those through in this section here, as well as what happens when we do not meet the expectations. All right, we're scrolling through to university expectations and policies. And here you will find the school's mission, vision, and values, which I think are incredibly important. Any live class, optional, however it may be, that we have will be recorded. So just please note that. And we abide by the honor code at all times. Of course we do. And you can learn more about the honor code using these links here. There's obviously some very important information related to discrimination, non-discrimination, of course, and then pronouns and accommodations for individuals with disabilities. If there is a name or pronoun that I should be more aware of than what is listed on Canvas, please let me know. I am more than happy to make the adjustment so that I'm referring to you appropriately. And that's the same thing as when I was sharing many different ways you can refer to me in name earlier. So when it comes to accommodations, if you receive any accommodations to engage in this classroom, please let me know. I recommend that you go through the formal process with the Office of Services for Students with Disabilities through the university, mostly because it's protection for you. We always want to make sure that you are getting and meant to be getting what you need to learn and succeed in the classroom. However, if this isn't a route you have gone through and you require some accommodations to support your learning in this classroom, please feel free to reach out to me. I will do my absolute best to honor each and every single accommodation required or needed. All right, just a quick note as well, there might be some changes to the syllabus. Sometimes when I learn what is working, what is not working, I might make an adjustment. If it's anything significant to your timeline, to an assignment, I will let you know within a reasonable time or adjust time schedules as needed. So the next section here is our signature assignments. These are the big categories of assignments that we'll have where your grades are going to be coming from. We have ed puzzle lecture videos, and I've explained a bit about these. We'll have 5 different case study responses throughout the semester. There is one big lesson plan project where I will have you create and submit a lesson plan that is accommodating of specific students that I am giving you case studies of. And then I will likely have you revise that lesson plan at least one time. And for some people, that's 2 or 3 times until we get a plan that's really supporting of these students that I've given you case studies for. And we'll go over these in so much depth as we get closer to the assignment due dates. The next big assignment that we have is called the SST forms, identifying appropriate interventions. And this is where we use these big checklists to help identify which interventions may be appropriate for a student at your own school placement. And the final signature assignment is the literacy log, and this is section 2 specifically of the literacy log. If you go to Canvas for any of these assignments, you should be able to see detailed instructions for every single one. Now, just below the signature assignments is our grading structure for the class. So if you end up with 100%, you're going to get an A. The goal is that every single person here gets an A. I don't usually have to give any grade lower than an A, so please don't make me. I would really appreciate that. I have a great streak going right now. And then you'll see how each assignment kind of breaks down to your overall grade in the class. All right, last thing on our syllabus is our course schedule. And this also may be subject to change, but again, I will make you aware of any changes that occur for this course. So within the course schedule, each week is listed, and in each week you'll have your topic and objective. This is exactly like our to-do list on Canvas modules, and you'll see which assignment is due in that week and the date. And all assignments are due by 11:59 of whatever date is listed. So this is a pretty kind of simplified way to look at your entire semester, but hopefully one to help you plan what the semester looks like for you. Now you'll see that in most weeks, I apologize for scrolling so much, you will see that in most weeks there are at least 2 things due. This is especially true as the semester kind of begins and closer to the end of the semester, where we start to get into one thing due each week. And that is built more on purpose. I very much recognize that in your other courses in the fall semester, a lot of the projects tend to be due at the very end of the semester. And instead of kind of wrapping you up with another extra project at the end of that semester, I try to schedule some of ours a little bit more at the beginning and finishing off with some lighter kind of reflective work and content to try to help offset a little bit. And I hope this works out. So again, one of those things I would love to know some about and how it looks like by the end of the semester. And we can make adjustments as needed. So please make sure to pay attention to your course schedule. And this course schedule is also listed in the weekly to-do list in Canvas course modules. Okay, I'm headed back to our presentation here. And I'm just going to do one more quick slide before we dive into content. So I want to set some common ground first. in this course, we'll use people first language as our default. We'll have some examples for you in the weekly practice materials to refer to, but essentially, using people first language means that we're putting that person first. So instead of saying an autistic person, where we put their disability first, we would say a student or a person, an individual, a human with autism. It's a little bit different. It's a small shift. It feels like a small shift, but for some, it makes a big difference. Now, this is the default in kind of academic spheres when we're talking about a larger whole. However, I do also really want to point out that it's very important to understand that many disability communities, like in the autistic communities or deaf communities, many of those individuals or those communities at large prefer and advocate for identity first language, where they see a disability as an inseparable and positive part of who they are. And so sometimes it would be more appropriate to go identity first, where we talk more about an autistic individual. Now, the best practice is default to people first language, especially in writing and academic spheres, but always respect and follow the preference of the individual. So if we're talking about a specific person and how they refer to themselves, then we can certainly, this requires some mental flexibility. It's something that, you do it a couple of times and it becomes easy to uphold from there on. However, if you haven't really been in this practice, thought about it very much, this is part of what is being culturally responsive. This is honoring different cultures and communities, and this would be disability communities that do and have their own types of cultures or cultural values in there. And so learning how to refer to and talk to people of different communities and cultures is really important. And small practice, small shifts that we can make and will have to make to be able to have educated discourse in this class. So with that, second, I believe that we need to hold a shared belief when it comes to students. And that shared belief is that all students can learn and can succeed. I hope that we all share that belief. Or if not, please know that that is the general premise from which this entire class is built. So something we might also need to talk about if your perspective is different than this. So within this belief that all students can learn and succeed, we have to also understand that paths to learning and succeeding look different. But every student certainly has potential. And our role as teachers is to support that potential, to help it grow, to help it learn. Little seedlings, we got to help grow into these big, beautiful, flowery things. And our final kind of basic common ground area is going to surround the idea of diversity or the concept of diversity. Whether in culture, language, ability, or background, diversity is not something we accommodate. It is something we value. Our classrooms are stronger when we honor the unique contributions of each student, and that is contributions at all levels of an individual human being. All right, that is it for our course and syllabus review video part 2.